Hello, this is Mythion here, doing an army composition guide for Settra the Imperishable. So, this is the first video in what's going to be a series of videos where I take a lord, I build an army around it, a strategy around it, and all the skills, items, everything kind of go into facilitating this one army, right? Just making it as strong as I possibly can be. And it's done. Most of these will probably be done in single-player campaign and can be useful in single-player campaign, but it'll be sort of done with head-to-head in mind against another human opponent. And if you haven't done this before, these essentially turn into is just like the biggest stat checks you've ever seen in your life. I mean, you know, how do you do against like Aztec, who's buffing Orc Boy's melee attacks, to 150? Or how do you do against missile infantry, whose missile strength is getting into the hundreds, There's a lot of really powerful strategies, and most lords offer something, that they push certain units in a certain way or whatever, and it's really fun to kind of, especially when you build around the theme, but even just sort of your own ideas and try to make it work as best you possibly can. So that's what this is. We're doing Settra itself. This is a very aggressive army. It's probably the most aggressive I'll be with the Tomb Kings itself, just because Settra has personal skills that kind of facilitate the strategy. The first thing I want to talk about is what Lore of Magic I decided on. I'm a big fan of Lore of Nekakara because even though it's really weak early on in the campaign, it scales really hard with constructs, with lords and heroes, and you just get a lot of value out of it late in the campaign. But ultimately, I decided for this army in particular that Lore of Light was actually the best. The melee attack and defense buffs are big selling points here. The net is very strong, especially against players. And there's also internal banishment synergies within the army itself that I'll get into in just a little bit. As far as the units themselves, I'll probably talk about them more when I do the sort of mock battle. I actually have a battle prepared here where I go up against 4,000 Dowie. So we can kind of see how this army does. But first, I want to get into the items. The items is really going to shine a light on what's really going on here. And the first item I want to show is currently on the Necrotect, and it's called Vembraces of the Sun. And you can get this in the Mortuary Cult. You can get one of them per campaign, essentially. And what this does is it affects enemies in an AoE around the wearer of this item, and it grants minus 10 melee attack, very strong, and plus 20% weakness to fire damage. Now, this is huge. Essentially, your entire army can have fire damage. So this is essentially a plus 20% damage increase in the area that you're kind of focusing and microing. You're going to notice it just has really good synergy. And again, you're really looking for as many damage modifiers and buffs and debuffs as you possibly can, and this is perfect for that, right? Go to the Tomb Princes here. I have crafted for them the Blade of Morning Fire. Offensive stats, enables flaming attacks. You can see the synergy right there. Settra himself, of course, has his Blessed Blade of Petra, which, again, offensive stats, but it can imbue fire damage for 43 seconds. It's a big deal. And it drops their stats, right? So this is particularly good when they take plus 20, when they're 20% weak to fire, that kind of thing. I also have, on my Lich Priest of Light, the Banner of Eternal Flame. And what this does is, in an AoE, it buffs everything around it by plus 8% base weapon damage and imbues fire damage. So essentially everything can have fire, and all your opponent's stuff can be plus 20% weak to fire. This is particularly strong against like regenerating units, which in my experience is very popular among players. You can surround Vlad von Garstein, for example, with a couple of Tomb Guard, have someone with Vembraces of the Sun around it and Banner of Eternal Flame, and all of a sudden he's taking plus 45% damage, and you can actually just melt him. But even if they're not regenerating, I mean, it just having, plus 8% here, plus 20% from the item, that's a big damage increase in an AoE. That's essentially constant. Like, these aren't cooldown dependent things. Like, even Settra's Blessed Blade of Petra, while it is a cooldown, you can just have him imbue it with, as long as you keep the wizard nearby, and he should be nearby. So lots of fire synergy there. There are other ways to have fire as well within the stack, whether they have fire themselves or what casts. But we'll get into that a bit more. But just note that fire is a big theme of this army. The other big synergy, and I kind of mentioned this before, is the banishment synergy. So I have an item here on the Necrotect again called the Crook and Flail of Radiance. This is a weapon that you can craft through the Mortuary Call. You can craft one of them. And it has some stats on it, of course, but it has 2 bound banishment spells. Very important. Well, of course, we also have the Lich Priest of Light. So what this means is when you have a good banishment cast, you have essentially you have double the strength of that banishment cast because you put 2 right on top of each other, right? So one situation that could happen is you're rushing Settra in, he's kind of getting surrounded, the enemy kind of gets greedy and they just like pile him in, they want to take him down really, really quickly, and then you just drop 2 banishments on him. He doesn't take that much damage from it, and you can just Shrek the things in the area, so it's very strong. But there's more synergy than that. So what if your Tomb Guard gets engaged with their front line, and they all get kind of intermingled, they're engaged or whatnot. You're normally not going to want to cast Banishment on the front line in that case, because the random moving effect could just cause it to just Shrek your Tomb Guard. But we have a solution to that. For one thing, Tomb Guard have a base 10% magic resist. Your Sphinxes have base 25% magic resist, right? Because of skills and other things. The Lich Priest has this item called Inkheel's Canopy, which grants some Winds of Magic, a little bit of magic resist, but it allows you to add plus 60% magic resist in an AoE to your army for 24 seconds. This is huge. This allows you to pop this on your Tomb Guard as you're engaged, and you can just drop 2 banishments right on top of your Tomb Guard and not care. Like, you'll see a little bit of HP damage, and you could just Shrek them. So this is another reason why Lore of Light was preferred, and why the Crook and Flail of Radiance is a particularly strong item. Just tons and tons of synergy here. There's a lot of tricks that you can do with this stack that I'm very fond of. And again, these are things that are, like a player opponent might look at your army, he might look at your items, but he might not actually piece together how all of these kind of interact, and it creates a lot of powerful effects because of that. Of course, you don't always have to use this with a banishment. In fact, some battles you won't even use a single banishment. It's just a powerful utility item that allows you to, prevent the damage of their vortex spells, or maybe prevent like a burning head from Shrekking your Tomb Guard, or just all kinds of stuff like that. And if I didn't mention it before, it can be made over here in the arcane items, all the way down at the bottom. So, very powerful item. It is an arcane item, so only your Lich Priests and a couple of your Legendary Lords can use it. And the other thing I want to talk about, and this will apply to all factions, but so every now and then I'll see like a wizard that has like really powerful weapon or whatever. Like, let's say that on this Lich Priest I gave him like Obsidian Blade, plus 100 armor piercing damage. What is he going to do with an Obsidian Blade? I mean, he's got 28 melee attack, the guy can't beat down Empire Swordsman, right? It's just a waste. So what I suggest is that you actually give him weapons and armor that provide, again, more buffs or debuffs. So I put on him the Brass Cleaver, which gives everyone in AoE around him plus 10 melee attack. Again, stats are the key. The Glittering Scales gives everyone minus 5 melee attack, enemies. Again, and this stacks with the Vembraces of Sun minus 10. So you keep your hero blob, relatively close, and the things in the area are getting minus 15 melee attack. You're giving everything plus 10 melee attack, plus 8% base weapon damage, plus 20% damage because of the fire interactions. Like, it just gets ridiculous. And we haven't even gotten to, Lore of Light casting the spells and creating all the buffs. So, when Azag pops Wa and, he gets, just absurd amounts of value, and he casts, Here We Go, and you see the melee attack go up to like 150. you can match that. That's very important that you actually have the stats that can match that on the front line, because your Tomb Guard got to hold. That's what they're there for. All the other items are mostly just resistances. I'll kind of just like hover over them if you're curious, but there's not much more to talk about here. Oh, I should notice right here the Crown of Nekahara was another reason why I wanted to go really aggressive with this comp, because very good stats in an AoE for that strategy. I definitely prioritized ward save on some of these defensive items. Try and get as high as resistances as I could. I do love stacking resistances, I gotta admit. That's kind of how you have to counter some of this stuff. Alright, so followers and banners. Real quick. Tomb Kings in their tech tree have, the Heralds, right? These are almost always going to be, you're always going to have a couple of these in your big endgame army, because they provide a lot of good lord buffs. I have 3 of them. The 2 that buff Tomb Guard and the 1 that buffs the Sphinxes. Very, very good. Those just happen to be the units that I wanted to use. The other ones are viable, obviously, if you're using the appropriate units. The Banner of Eternal Flame is here. Arguably the most important thing that you can get for this stack. It's more impactful than the Blessed Plate of Petra, honestly. It is a random drop chance, so there's a chance that you don't actually get this, which is a bit unfortunate. It's not as good on a lot of other factions. Like, the reason why it's so good here is because you have such good synergy with fire damage. That's really all it comes down to. And hopefully that you get it, because it is a big deal. And then I decided to round out with a couple of Lichborn pendants. But honestly, you can go with the Speed and Strider one. You can go with the Charge Bonus Banner. Just whatever stats you want to do. Again, I'm a big fan of resistances, so I just have 2 of these, and I put them on my Tomb Princess. Alright, skills, real quick. Settra will probably take the longest. Settra can kind of go all different kinds of routes. I know a lot of people are fond of the Chimerian War Sphinx caster route, just because you're essentially a very tanky, unkillable caster. You can make him... Some people like him on the War Sphinx combat-oriented. I decided that the Chariot of the Gods is really what he's pushed at, and it takes him to a level that the regular Tomb Kings can't achieve. It kind of gives him that niche that's kind of unique. Because he could just rack up hundreds of kills against infantry. And because I knew that the Lore of Light was going to be my go-to magic, I knew that I didn't want to go down Lore of Nekahara. I just want to use my wins towards that lore. So I completely forgo the points on the magic side. I'm not saying it's bad to do that. That was my strategic decision. What Settra has all throughout are buffs to Tomb Guard and Chariots in particular. That's kind of what he's pushed towards. Now, you'll notice I don't have any Chariots in my army, which is probably a bit of a head scratcher at first. But here's my reasoning. Settra is arguably the best Chariot user in the game, or at least in the top 3. The Tomb Princes are fantastic on Chariots. The Necrotect is even decent on Chariots. Like, I have my Chariot role fulfilled if I want that. So I found that just the additional Chariots was just redundant. I don't need like 8 Chariots in this army, even though the Chariots are very good, and he even pushes Chariots, I just found that it was just redundant. So I ended up ultimately phasing them out. But the good thing is that everything that buffs Chariots also buffs something else that you're using anyways. Like, this buffs Tomb Guard and Chariots, this buffs Tomb Guard and Chariots, this buffs Chariots and Chimerian War Sphinxes. So you can kind of go into these points and have really strong Chariots early on, and you'll use Chariots for most of the campaign, right? But even as you phase them out, these points are not wasted, which I love. I love that, because I don't like wasted points in the end game. But, just a brief overview. Red Tree, very important, because, again, stats. I'm buffing, essentially, Tomb Guard, Sphinxes, and a couple other constructs. Again, Tomb Guard, constructs, and then, of course, Resurrect as the red line ender, which is one of the most powerful final red line abilities in the entire game. Healing, very, very important. Real quick, I want to talk about getting regeneration on your own army. I actually advise against it. because you'll often hit healing cap anyways with this ability, or at least get close to it. And regeneration can just get wasted, and it also increases your vulnerability to fire damage, which if enemies have fire damage against Tomb Kings, they're going to bring it themselves. So that's just something to keep in mind. You're going to get a lot of casts off of on this thing. So I think you actually want to avoid getting the regeneration trait, which is kind of funny. I don't think there's anything else that really needs to be talked about here. I obviously focused them very hard into combat. Trample of the Ages, this is one of his top 3 skills on this entire page. Plus 8% speed, plus 10% charge bonus for the entire army. Very powerful on Sphinxes for allowing them to get into position and hit harder. You know, it's a bit weak on Tomb Guard, but it's just having 3 more speed. I mean, you never know. It could be the difference. And it's very good on your Lords and Heroes, obviously. So very, very, very strong. But other than that, I buffed the units I wanted to buff. And I got my resistance skills. And I got my Chariot of the Gods. So I'll do one quick little slow. You know, just so that way you can see. And we're moving on. Tomb Princes. The blue skills are very good, but I knew right from the get-go that I was building this army to be the absolute best in combat that it could possibly be. So I am just full combat with Royal Lieutenant as my, pick between these 3. So same with that Tomb Prince. Necrotect, kind of the same deal, but increased mobility is just too important to give up, and Jars as well, to be honest. So I had to pick one of these stats to give up on. I decided on charge bonus. Just because the Necrotect doesn't really kill things as well as the other guys do. So I opted for more tanky, more consistent combat options. He's not the guy who's usually killing stuff. That's why he has the supportive items. And then finally, the Lich Priest of Light. Again, pretty standard stuff. I will say, do not put points into the skill. It's arguably weak already for the factions that can use it. So, like, for Empire, for example, making your spears unbreakable and letting them hold for 22 seconds. It's pretty meh. It doesn't help them win the combat. It's like a desperation move. So, even in that situation where it's kind of where it's intended use, it's probably weak. But on Tomb Kings, who are undead, this is just completely garbo. Your units fight to the death. You don't need to make them unbreakable. Same with Exorcism. Immune to Psychology, completely wasted. Units that cause Fear and Terror are immune to Fear and Terror. So, granting a little bit of leadership every 11 seconds on a cast is so trash for your faction. It's not even funny. It's a great tack for other factions sometimes against us, but you just want to avoid it. But everything else is pretty standard. Get the blue stuff that you want, and make sure you fill out your magic line and your faction buffs and your resistances, and you're good to go. Alright, and that is the entire stack in a nutshell. When we actually do the battle itself, I'll talk about how I do formations and kind of each unit's use. So we'll get a bit more context behind that when I actually do the battle. So I will see you in a bit. Hello everyone, welcome back. Just doing my Settra army here against roughly 4,000 Dowie. I should have probably have told you guys, or shown you guys the different armies. I know that there are 6 groups of rank 7 Bugman's Rangers, like 7 organ guns, something like 20 regiments of Longbeards with great weapons, roughly 10 regiments of Thunders, 4 Lords, bunch of random stuff. There's like an Iron Drake in there and all that kind of stuff. It's a big army. It's about 4,000 Dowie for sure. So as far as your front line goes, you usually want to do your generic Tomb Guard kind of in the center with the Kepler Guard kind of on the flanks, sort of like this. Let me actually look at this. Yeah, I don't really want a corner camp because I want this to be like a legitimate thing. Sometimes I have to like pretend that the AI is a player and not cheese to or that would it sort of mentally checks myself that I can't cheese things. But yeah, it just makes you a little bit better at the game, but it would be dumb not to at least use this tiny hill right here, right? I'll put our heroes up front. Spread your sphinxes out. Halberds are usually going to be like the second line of defense, kind of around the casket. And these are a couple of different units in the army, obviously. This isn't necessarily a guide on how to use each unit, but basically Sepulchral Stalkers have Stalk, and a lot of times they can ambush Cav out on the flanks, especially when supported by like a Necropolis Knights. So what you can do is you can have like your Knights here, the Cav is charging you down, right? You kind of peel them back a little bit, and you kind of run them into some Stalkers, and you can get like a 2v1 scenario. It's very, very strong. But I'll just kind of keep them out on the flank for now. I'll probably go ahead with the hero blob first, just to see what I can get done, and then I'll approach the army later on. So let's start. Actually, it'd be great if I took out that first organ gun, honestly. There's a lot of reinforcements on this side. Maybe I need to bring these guys kind of over this way. Because I need to access those organ guns probably later on, I guarantee it. Keep these guys back for now. I'll definitely engage later. But I just want to see what I can get done with the heroes. And Lord. Where's that organ gun at? Right there. Alright, I don't want... These guys have a hard time getting out of engagement, so you don't want to necessarily blob them up too bad. Pop our cooldowns. We can actually use our first banishment here. For sure. Conduit. Don't have the wins for banishment. Pull these guys back. Don't want them to get caught. Kind of want them to apply their buffs, but we don't want them to get caught. That's for sure. There's the organ gun at right there. Yeah, we'll put it there. Right on top of Settra. I like that. We can take these quarrelers down. We just gotta be careful of those long beards. We don't want to keep the priest back. Pop our desert strikes. Alright, let's get everyone out. Let's reform with the army. We did a decent amount of damage. Not too bad. It always amazes me just how fast. These guys might actually get surrounded. Yeah, let's bring them back. Another organ gun. Fuck, I want to take that out, actually. Let's take out that organ gun, and then we'll re-engage with the army. Again, Settra, you can just kind of get him in there. It don't matter. He's got a bunch of healing power left. Let's get everyone in. There we go. Probably there. Maybe. Just want that organ gun gone. Okay. That's fine for now. I'll take it. Let's regroup. Let's let our casket get a few shots off as they approach. Uh-oh. No, we're good. You gotta be careful with these guys, getting them in there. They are good on chariots, but they do get surrounded a lot easier than Settra is. Settra just has more mass, I guess. Alright, so we want to get these guys gone. Probably don't want that trade. Let's get a Sphinx in there. He actually threw some units away. I'll take that. Take that every day of the week. And we are firing on them. Good. go back to regular speed. It's hard to say which side I want to engage from with these snakes. I still want to keep them over here, I think. But yeah, I have a sphinx over here as well. Let's get another resurrect off. Keep everyone topped off. I'm not trying to cheese anything, but you know, you gotta play. You don't want to play like an idiot either. I mean, come on, right? We are gonna engage army here in just a bit. This thing's pretty annoying, I gotta say. I can fire at that. Why don't I? Okay, let's get our back in formation. Okay, we are definitely getting surrounded here. Let me go back to normal speed. I think I still want some space. Hold on, give me a second. Think here. This is risky, but we'll get them in the back line. All right, let's engage. Let's engage with the heroes and stuff. Going good. Okay, that's getting engaged there. Let's get him in there. Let's get him in there. Keep the halberds back for now. Pop Arcane Conduit. Yeah, let's do this, and then let's probably banishment as these guys engage. We don't want our casket firing on our guys, though. Engage. Take that fight. Make sure these guys are fighting over here. Keep the halberds for just a second. I don't want to break formation just yet. These are dragging some people over, and they can... What is that? Go to finish off this artillery. That's good. That's good. Keep an eye on over here. I'm going to bring a Necrotect over here to kind of help out. We can kind of split the hero blob now. They don't have to be right on top of each other. Probably melee defense. Because with our healing, we do like longer battles. We really do. And make sure that we restore constructs as they get low. Can't, for whatever reason, because it's not in range. Okay. Get over here and get in range, buddy. Okay, so we gotta resurrect, right? So look, try to get like a wide shot and try to get as many low HP units as you can. See if I can get in the range of that. These guys have regen, so I can actually pull them back, but I just want them to get... Yeah, just like that. I'm actually gonna pull these guys back, I think. These guys are getting messed up. Let's engage with the halberds. They're not... We got enough speed. We can protect them if need be. Get these guys back. Maybe this way. I do have a new Shopty summon. I don't think I want to use it right now. Just keep an eye on your HPs. Yep, I got another banishment for sure. Okay, he's broken. Come back over here, help these guys out. Kepler healing. He'll get back. He'll get back in the fray soon. Alright, this is another one of those cases. Let's give everyone magic resist, and then try to get a banishment off. That wasn't the best banishment. Oh, I did alright. Keep an eye on stuff. I think my restore's up. Let's go ahead and restore that. I think I'm going to lose that. It's okay. This ain't even close to over yet, boys. We got... Oh, this guy... We're just going to retreat him then. Okay, get him back, get him back. Again. You're kind of doing this... You kind of do like the group hug strat, right? Like, you fight for a few minutes, and then Settra says, alright everyone, group hug. Group huddle. And then you get a resurrect off. Get in there. Probably right here. Can these guys get in there? There, I like that. I like that a lot. Just keep things attacking. I definitely have a lot of stuff that's pretty low. This is just not a good army against dwarves. It's funny. I have so much magic damage and, like, not tomb scorpions. It's just funny how bad this is against. Oh, man. Let's get this guy over here. Keep a wide shot. I need stats. Honestly, put stats here. I don't want him to get too low. They're regenning. Okay, let's get over here. Let's get a good cast off. Let's kind of converge them on these rangers. It's normally not good to have like everything attack one unit, but we just want them to get close for now. Okay, there we go. I like that. That was good. I'm literally just going to stack my Tomb Guard at this point. So that way I can show up and heal them. And hopefully they'll be a lot more healthier for the re-engage. But we're just going to focus on heroes. Let me get these guys. There, that is my effective army right now. Just put them all in one control group. And I just want healthy stuff to fight. And when I get my resurrect, yeah, is that organs? Oh, that's grudge service. Yeah, go take those down. That's fine. Keep fighting. Get your ass over here. Keep the encourage up. No, don't cast. Don't cast right now. We're good. We're really good. Okay, Settra's gonna get over here, and he's gonna heal the blob. Watch. It's very important that you have group hug sessions as the Tomb Kings. Get a nice big heal off and send them back. And keep these guys just in reserve for now. Oh, that's an Iron Drake somewhere. Where's he? Right there. Get your ass over there. Oh, there's a lot of damage to my units. Necrotech's on the him. I need to get their leadership down. That's how I'm gonna do it. Oh, where's my units at? Right there. Okay, those are shattered. Where's his artillery at? I don't actually know if I beat that. Who is that? Is that Belagar? Oh, dude, that's so funny. That's so clutch that he like left the battle. We got a lot more dwarves to kill, folks. Let's go after this guy. Not with everyone. Shit, that was bad. Don't play like a noob, like me. Right, I'm gonna put him in 5, and we're gonna put 5 over here. 22 seconds. We're hitting healing cap on most of our units. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Let me heal, and then Settra will go fuck them up. Organ guns. Go for it. Pull them back for now. Heal. Alright. Now we go mess them up. We can actually fast forward here, I think. Okay, shattered. Victory. Alright. I think I lost my snake calf, but that's okay. How'd I do? Lots of rank 7 Buckner's Rangers. Yeah, I mean, I basically killed 3, 2, like 2,400 dwarves. So, 528 kills on Settra. Tomb Prince is almost 300. Necrotech even had 200. Very even damage spreads. I kept everything pretty much contributing. I didn't get a lot of value out of these guys, but they didn't bring the organ guns till late. I just wanted something in the back for that. But, yeah. Just shows that stats matter. I mean, there's nothing more of a stat check than going up against dwarves, but I can grind through them. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed the comp and the video. I'm still working and practicing on how to make these videos better. Bit of a newbie in this regard, but I really hope that you enjoyed it. I had some entertainment for you, and maybe you learned something. So, thank you very much. See ya.